Good afternoon and welcome to Let's Talk About It, All the Things. Hi, Whitney.
Hi, Chris.
How you doing today?
Oh, I'm dandy. How about you?
I'm excellent. Thanks for asking.
Good. Yeah.
So we have a guest today that I'm super excited to bring on and talk a little bit about. I'm always excited. We always have great guests.
Yeah, we do.
I feel like.
I agree. I don't
Right?
think there's one bad guest.
I know.
Not like there's
Such great shows.
no such thing.
No. So we're just going to jump right into it today.
Yes.
And I'm going to introduce you to Steve Norris. And I'm going to start. Steve, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
We're so incredibly glad that you came on to talk to our audience today. And we're going to start with you just jumping in and just kind of tell us a little bit about why you're here.
Okay.
And a little bit of your story, as much or as little as you would like to share with us.
Sure.
Okay.
So why am I here? I'm here because you guys have the best job in the world. You get to meet human beings at a human being level and learn about them and their lives. And that's exactly why I'm here, because I love that same type of connection.
Excellent.
So where to start? I'm the founder of the Recovery Collective, which is a newly formed organization. It's a for-profit organization that just came out of nothing, because I had left a previous role as being the director of overdose prevention for a nonprofit here in Oakland County. And during that time, I had the incredible privilege and honor of serving with the Oakland County Sheriff on the crisis unit, being a part of some of the what we refer to as crisis intervention training, where law enforcement meets community for issues related to mental health and substance use disorder. And so the Recovery Collective itself is just my passion project, my work. And we're figuring out, kind of building the airplane in the air as to what that entity is and how it's going to serve the community. But in essence, the reason why it exists is because I myself suffered from a substance use disorder, as well as a co-occurring mental health condition, for a very, very long time. And I've found my way to a place of what I hope is freedom, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And what really grounds me to this work is being able to connect to people in the midst of a struggle, and let them know that, there's hope, and it is temporary, even though it feels like forever.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a connection inside that pain, that when we connect at that level, we understand that we're all very similar in our struggles. And it really doesn't matter whether you're dealing with a substance use disorder or a mental health disorder or sex addiction. It's all a root disconnect from each other, that at the very core of it, I think threads through all of it.
That is beautifully said.
Thank you.
For sure. So let's talk about Recovery Collection.
Okay.
So how does that work? Like, do people find you? Do you go out and do programs? Let's dive right into Recovery Collection, because I think it's amazing.
Sure. Thank you. I mean, it exists because we're out here doing work for the people. And so when you think of an organization from a nonprofit perspective, most nonprofits form, they have a board of directors, they have a mission. We have a mission too. Really, our mission is to connect by, human to human. We try to make sure that we're in lanes that we understand. And so as far as I'm concerned, like, I understand at a really root level, as well as an educational level, substance use disorder, as well as mental health conditions. So the way we serve the community, and specifically I serve Oakland County, is the work that I've been able to do in Oakland County over the past 3 years has been able to connect me to organizations to do different things. And so currently we're heavily involved in the unhoused population in Oakland County. And I just left a fundraiser where we're lifting up a temporary shelter in Pontiac to serve people who are unhoused, most of which, by the way, suffer from mental health or substance use disorder. But at the same level, all of which are suffering from a place of disconnection. So that right now has been one of the things that we've been really, really working on. And we're doing that at all levels, from a county perspective, from a city perspective, working with other agencies. And the key here really is community and partnership, collaborative partnership. And I hear that word thrown around a lot. Everybody wants to collaborate. But when I talk about collaboration, I talk about co-laboring, because we all have to play a certain part. Like, I'm good at some things and I'm really bad at others. Other people are really good at things. And when we connect, where I can see my weakness and your strength, and I say, Chris, can you help me with this? And we partner together and we co-labor on a project, amazing and beautiful things happen.
Yeah.
So for the most part, that's a big initiative for us, but huge advocates for people who are struggling with substance use disorder or mental health. And unfortunately, we have some systems that are, I'll just call it the way it is. They're broken. And they're not broken because the people broke them. They're broken because they're complex and convoluted. And over time, they've been watered down from their original mission, which was compassionate heart-to-heart work. And whenever you form an organization, it turns from that heart-to-heart work into a mess of protocols and procedures that take away that one-on-one connection with community or people. And when you do that with somebody who's struggling and they're already lost, all you're doing is adding to the problem and adding harm to someone who's struggling in that area, because now they're looking to you for some sort of an answer or solution, and you're like digging around through all this. So I like to try to focus on simplifying systems and structures and frameworks, and doing reviews on what they look like, so that we can, I used to call them failures, but now we call them areas for improvement. They're really failures. Like, we have systematic failures. Like, everyone,
It's true.
And it's okay to call it what it is.
yeah, let's stop with all the nonsense. Those failures in systems, if they're ignored over time, impact the way we do that direct service care. And so if we can talk about the things that we don't want to talk about, we can own our mistakes. And when I say we, organizations can own where they can have room for improvement, or look at those failures honestly and say, we've got to stay mission focused. And mission focused is, delivering a message of hope to people that are stuck in a place of complete broken, lost, I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's funny that you kind of talk about all that stuff. So we, this past weekend, I had a board retreat, and it was very interesting. We did an assessment on our what, why, and how, and then kind of went from there. How do we fit in, and how do we each kind of utilize our talents and skill sets? What do we each bring, to our organization? And, I clearly was the visionary, but I don't like details. So
that's honest. I love that.
I don't like to be stuck in minutia. Let's be real. And for a lot of different reasons, it's overwhelming, gives me anxiety, all the things. Sure. But yeah, having an organization or a company where everyone kind of co-labors, right? So it's very cool that you said that, because we realize that each of us have different roles that we play and different skill sets that we bring, and that's what makes us so good together, you know? So cohesive. So, and with you going out, so when you're out there, I mean, do you have an opportunity to actually sit down with some of these people that, for lack of a better word, are a little bit broken?
Yeah. That's where my heart is. And even though you have to work in organizations and at that level where change can be made, whether it's at a state level changing policy or legislation, you can't do that if you're not connecting to the people that are struggling, because this thing changes and the way we handle these things changes and the way we're educated about them changes. So it's very important to me to be directly working with people that are still finding their way. And for me, that's an opportunity for me to learn. You know, I found my way out of this. I don't want to call it by dumb luck. I had a couple people that really put me under their shoulder and, you know, showed me what real love was, even though I was messy. And so I don't think that I can do any sort of service work without being connected to that mess still, because it's constantly changing and evolving, and the messes are all different. Yeah.
Is it ever triggering for you in any kind of like past way or like, and I ask this because I also love to talk to people in the middle of struggles with their children or grieving from a child lost to suicide.
Yeah.
But, and that is my heart work, and that is how I understand and learn how to support people better. But it also is very triggering to me personally sometimes. So does that ever like feel heavy or triggering or?
It does.
And how do you move through that, I guess?
Yeah.
You know, it's a process. I certainly don't have it figured out. I think the thing that helps me navigate a lot of those things is awareness of where I'm being triggered or how connected I can be. I mean, I can easily form a trauma bond very quickly because I've probably been there and done that. And so recognizing that and being aware of it and being honest with it, I still have to do a lot of self-work. You know, I do therapy every week. I have a coach every week. You know, these are all things that are necessary for me to continue to evolve and be okay. Just because I've been absent from chaotic substance use for 11 and a half years doesn't mean that my brain isn't still dysregulated and I'm not still dealing with the childhood traumas that created some of those things for myself. So being aware that they exist and then being honest with myself that I'm struggling or that I'm in a conversation that's triggering and it happens daily. I'm aware of it. I recognize it. And then I also recognize that I don't have to fix it. That's not my job in this. My job is to sit with you, to be with you during whatever you're going through, and just let you know that I'm here and that I'm not going to run away from your mess, because that's the exact thing that someone did for me. And for me, that's the biggest part of my healing journey, is that, you know, I'm still dealing with that abandonment, right, from my childhood that comes up when things get messy and people don't want to get involved at the mess. They seem to disappear because, number one, it's awkward to talk about. They don't know what to do. They think they need to provide a solution, which they don't. We really just need them to be there for us. So that's how I deal with it now. And sometimes I do it well and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I go home, I'm a complete mess. I'm just a disaster.
Yeah.
I know I can't show up like that. And if I do show up, I have to show up honestly and tell people I'm a freaking disaster right now. I have no business, but I can sit with you.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, that's what people are really looking for, right? Is to be seen and to be heard.
It's what I needed. You know, I needed to be seen and heard, where before that voice was muted, which led to me going, like, pushing the envelope, right? Really terrible things, behavior to be seen. Like, if you're not going to hear me, I'm going to make you hear me. And I'm going to act the way in which, you know, eventually will push people away. But yeah.
Yeah. So boots on the ground, talking to people.
Yeah.
What's been maybe one of the most impactful interactions that you've had with another human?
Such a great question. And I've got to dig through the layers and layers and layers of memories. I can't come up with one in this moment. What I can tell you is almost every single one of them is scary. As much as I think I understand, think I know from my education or learned about whatever this person's going through, it scares the living crap out of me every time. Because, you know, if you don't have the answer, what's the cost, right? How long will this person go on? How long will they suffer? Or could it be a tragedy at the end of it? You know, that was part of my story. You know, at the very end of my suffering from all the things, mental health and substance use, you know, I was someone who outwardly couldn't hurt people, so I hurt myself. Multiple violent suicide attempts, cutting, and so on and so forth. And at the very end, when I turned to the people that I was told to turn to for help in the medical community, I went to an ER, and they looked at my medication, they looked at my history, they looked at me, and they said, "We can't help this person." You know, I turned to that option, like, I can't breathe another minute like this. And I had an interaction with the law enforcement, with a police officer who knew I had a gun and was on a bullhorn asking me for a split second, just, you think about your son. And then that interruption for me, what his next words were, "I want to get you the help that you deserve." And it was that genuineness of that, him saying that one line, that I believed it. See, like, the truth for me, I don't know about you, but when you hear it, you feel it at like a very deep level. And I felt that, you know, subsequently the help he had to offer wasn't really what I wanted, but it's certainly what I needed at that time. And so, like, those are the things that I recall when I'm working with someone. Like, it could just be one sentence, one word, one connection, but if it's said with love and truth, the other person will feel it and hear it. And for me, I put that at every single interaction that I come. I have an opportunity to have those interactions with people on a daily, and what a blessing that is for me today. I don't understand the impact that I can have by just doing. I don't have to be somebody to connect with somebody.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if I went down a rabbit hole on that.
No, that was actually a good point with you saying that one line that that officer said to you.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, and you know the whole story, I'm not going to tell it here, but we dealt with somebody fairly recently, and all we could say to them was, think about yourself, think about your child. And it's like, it didn't matter.
No. Yeah.
Like, I know it's until they want the help, they're not going to get it.
That's absolutely true. And as you say that, as I kind of bring that memory up for me, the fact that that officer, you know, he obviously got some information from, you know, my ex-wife now at the time, and knew my son's name, and he said that name. And for me, that's the exact thing that came through. Like, I'm in so much deep suffering that even that doesn't matter. Like, my son would be better off if I wasn't here, because I'm bringing my pain into him, right? So I'm causing suffering for him. But that next line, right? There's this interruption that happens sometimes, right? We like to sometimes call them interventions, but they're interruptions that we can have that can, like, jar somebody enough to then all of a sudden you've got an opening in a space that's very small to deliver that message of love to somebody in that way and connect with them. That's the thing. That's the magic. It's not to think about this or think about that. I don't give a crap about the consequences at that point. I didn't care whether my mess was on display for everyone else, because I wanted people to feel what I was feeling, my pain. And I wanted someone to feel that with me. That's all I ever wanted. So when I was able to finally do that, and that's part of my journey in what I do, to be able to express that and say, I can, I can deeply understand what you're going, and I don't have an answer for you. But I can relate to that. And I can also say that if you want to work on this, you too have an opportunity to feel better, because I don't believe that we are put here to suffer. I feel like there's heaven on earth and hell on earth. You can choose. And so there's work that needs to be done. And there's a sense of personal responsibility, at least for me, that I have to be responsible for showing up and doing the work that I need to do to be well. Yeah.
And I want to focus a little bit too, just on the difference between the two words that could have been said, right? So he could have said the help that you need.
He didn't.
But he didn't.
That
He
you
said the help that
deserve.
you deserve, right?
Right.
So just that right there, the humanness.
One word.
One word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like too often it's, people look at others and they're like, wow, you need some help.
Yeah.
No, I deserve some help.
Yeah.
Because I'm a human.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
that right there is just so cool,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
To
Somehow, and I don't probably think he understood what he was doing in that moment, but what he did for me was he attached value to
you
my
as a
life.
person. Yeah.
And this guy, he had no idea who I was. I mean, think about this from his perspective. He's a law enforcement officer. He's got a guy with a, gun in his hand, a gun in his, back. And, this could have gone extremely bad. This was before training was available for law enforcement. This is before we have people out here talking about mental health issues and the struggle of substance use and all of those other things. These things only change when we come back and share, so that other people have the courage to say, you know what, I'm also struggling and I've been hiding this for a decade and I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, one word.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So going back a little bit, so you mentioned that you worked with Oakland County. Their, what is it?
Sheriff's Office. Yep. Crisis Response Unit.
So can you tell us a little bit about the work that you did there and maybe how that's impacted then moving forward into what you're doing now with the Recovery Collective?
So I think what it did, I always like to refer to it as legacy work, even because I'm not doing the work now, right? I hope that, just as I said before, every interaction that I got the privilege as somebody who has a felony, as somebody with a mental health disorder, as somebody with a substance use disorder, I had the privilege of interacting with law enforcement that may have had a different perception of me based on my past behavior. If you were to pull up my rap sheet, and it's not a bad rap sheet, but if you were to look at my history on a piece of paper, most of that world would not interact. But what they did was they gave me an opportunity, and I was privileged enough to share what their impact could be, what that one word change. We could send you to all the training in the world, but could there be that time where you slow down and you just have an interaction based on all the other jobs we're asking you to do, to just connect as a human to human with somebody, traffic ticket, whatever. The work we did there in that time and the education that we brought through our lived experience with that, and the impact that when officers could say, man, can you help me understand what I'm seeing here? Because I really do not like the behavior. And we can correlate that and give us some education on why that behavior exists from a brain chemistry perspective. When they're curious about a problem, they're open to learning, and then they're open to seeing things differently than like what it was.
Right.
And so I think that work is going to continue to carry on, because if we're really all being honest with ourselves, we're living in a very chaotic world, in a chaotic environment where there's a lot of demand on us as human beings, and everyone out there at some level is struggling. And I don't like to box things up and say, oh, like this is for that and this is for that. Like every single person that I interact with has some sort of struggle in their life that we can connect to and do that. And so I think that transforming some of those minds and hearts of officers who now share with their colleagues and then share with their commanders. And that work will continue. That's legacy, right? It will continue to go on. And, as long as people are brave enough to be open and honest and share that stuff, that work will continue to be alive in the hearts of those people that we had the opportunity to touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are witnessing a little bit of that positive movement, that shift into people being willing to just put themselves out there and be vulnerable and have, really authentic conversations with each other and complete strangers, which I just think is really awesome.
And, if we flip the side of flip the coin for a minute, we're talking about how public safety looks at scenarios that are related to these issues. But what about the opposite side of that? How do we look at our law enforcement partners? When I get pulled over, I still shake.
Yeah.
I'm still scared. If I see a judge in a room, I'm like, no. Like this authority, we're not looking at people as humans. We're looking at them as something different. And so being able to flip that over and say, how are we as a society looking at people that we've asked to protect and serve, right? Right. Come on, guys, let's have that conversation for a minute. It goes both ways here.
Yes.
So when we get rid of all of that and, we realize that, John Law is just like Bill Smith living next to me, and he's going to go home and, spend some time, hopefully with his family if he has it, or himself or whatever. It's human connection at the end of the day. And we are missing that in all components as far as I'm concerned right now. We're too busy trying to be right. We're not connecting as human beings or giving people the opportunity to have discussions that sometimes are wildly uncomfortable.
Yeah. Which is why we started this podcast.
Let's talk about it.
All the things.
All the things.
Nothing is off the table.
No.
That's our thing. So whatever people want to bring and whatever they want to talk about. Let's take a quick time out to talk about our amazing sponsor of Let's Talk About It, Town Mortgage. Founded in 1982, the Town Mortgage family of companies has more than 40 years of experience in the mortgage industry. They are passionate about their customers, their company, and the communities they serve, as Town is actively involved with many nonprofit organizations. Their community outreach initiatives are not just a side effect of their business, it's at the heart of it. They are first and foremost a local lender. However, their commitment extends beyond outreach to the products they offer. And On a Dragonfly's Wings is proud to be one of the many charity partners associated with Town Mortgage. As a full-service lender, they manage every aspect of home financing in-house. Because their process is consultation-driven, they have the unique opportunity to educate borrowers each step of the way. By forging these relationships, they ensure their confidence and security from application to closing and beyond as they service most of the loans they originate. This means a lifelong commitment to borrowers. Their business is not fueled by sales, but by their desire to provide solutions tailored to clients' financial futures. For more information about Town Mortgage, please visit Town, TOWNE, Mortgage, MORTGAGE.com. Thank you, Town. I feel like I'm dominating the conversation.
Oh no,
I feel like
usually Whitney's full of questions, and I've been just spitfiring them. And now I feel like, whoa, I should
hit me with something hard.
Okay,
something you think's gonna
I'll give you one. And I've been thinking about it for a while now. Do you ever fear, and this kind of goes for anybody out there, myself included, even you, everybody that is willing to share their story. Do you ever fear sharing your story to somebody, especially if that other person's struggling and kind of in that darker space, and them turning it back on you?
That is just such a deep question.
She's good. She's good at that.
Damn, that was really good.
That's how she rolls. It's the ones you got to really ponder about.
I don't ever in the moment. It's always after.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very open about, especially some of my self-harming and attempted suicides. I'm very cautious to share that with somebody who's in a crisis, of course. But in the moment, there's something that happens where I'm not worried about the outcome because there's something bigger happening here, right? It's always after that I question myself and I get stuck in that bull crap in my head. And you know what that is for me? It's not whether or not I said or did the right thing or, you know, they're going to turn it back on. That's all fear of judgment, right? Fear of what other people would say. Oh, Steve, you shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have done that. At the end of the day, I know that what I said in that moment was the right thing to say, because if you were in that situation, you may not have said the right thing either. There's no right or wrong when we're dealing with something that like that. And so you have to be aware of some of the information that you share, how it impacts people. Like sometimes I'll share my story, the full deal, and sometimes I won't. Mostly because I don't want to be identified with that. And sometimes because honestly, I don't want to feel the pain of it, because there's still a lot of shit there, excuse my language, that's there, that I don't want to recall. I'm probably going to be working on it till
it's a lifelong battle.
Yeah. So yeah, it's always the after where I play that game, and I have to really step back from that and say, okay, well, why are you worried about that? And usually it's because I'm worried about what other people would think was the right thing to do, not whether I knew it was the right thing to do. Yeah, feel it.
Okay. And the reason I ask that, and I'll give my small example here, is because I've going through my own mental health, battles. And back in that darkest point of my life, I like I said on the episode, I did have a method. I never told anybody. And this person that we were dealing with recently, was they were deep. They were struggling, and for whatever reason, in the topic and discussion, trying to bring them back up a little bit, I was like, I know how dark you are. Going through my whole story, and I told them my method, and it backfired because that response was, oh, that's a better idea than what I had. Not what I meant. That's not why I said it. That's not why I'm telling you this.
Yeah.
And that's why I was asking, like, do you ever fear? Because it's like, I didn't fear the judgment of people of going, well, that was a stupid idea to try something like that.
Sure.
Now I know it's like, do I tell other people these certain details in fear that either they're going to try it, they do it, and they're successful, or whatever the case may be, and turn it back on me and say, oh, well, that's a better idea than what I had. Yeah, I don't want that fear of me telling my story and trying to connect to those people to help them and not make it worse.
So as you're saying that, what's coming up for me is I've lost a lot of people, especially in the past 6 years, mostly to accidental overdose or poisonings. I play that game all the time too. Like, could there have been something I could have done more, or I said that wrong, or whatever that is? This is where my faith and spirituality kind of comes into play with it. Whether or not you think you delivered that information was available. And if that person was looking for it, they will find it somehow, some way. I don't want to put that responsibility on myself or you or anyone else, right? We're doing the best we can in these scenarios. And they call it, in at least my recovery community, like there's a role of like, we're not God, right? We can't control the outcomes of what happens to people, whether it's they take their life or they overdose or whatever. We can only do what we can in the moment for them. Some of those things we have absolutely zero control over. And we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay with their impact in the world. It lives in our hearts, in the hearts of people they touched, for whatever time frame that looks like. And loss is tough. Grief is difficult. I'm certainly no grief counselor, but I carry tons of grief with me. But I try not to feel responsible for the life of someone else that I think there are bigger forces at play without getting into a spiritual conversation. Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a heavy burden to carry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think as long as you were okay with that, whatever you said, and, you know, like it isn't in your control what happens beyond that.
Yeah.
Or how they take it or what they do with it.
True. Yeah. I mean, it took me a few days, weeks.
Still,
no, I am
Yeah.
accepting that more. That was not my fault,
Sure.
but that, in the time finding out of what happened,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was
Oh,
hard.
I'm sure it rocked you to the core.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine, but
But yeah, it took some time. But yeah, now I realize that no, that's not my fault. That was their choice.
yeah. And for at least from my own experience, like, I had already had a destination in mind for myself. There was an interruption there that was not what my plan was. So I could have come up with many different plans, right? And at least for me, I had multiple different ones. And if I heard a better one, I probably would have picked that one too. So, those types of things, when you're in that, you're in a space where, that's where we need to come, together as community to recognize the signs of suffering, to be able to provide someone a voice to speak. Because at least for me, I didn't feel I had the right to speak. I was scared to speak. I was scared to share. And so the more we can foster open conversations that are transparent and honest with people, and, create spaces for that to occur, the more we can have an interruption. And I know many people are probably walking around out there right now with a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are, I want to encourage them to find somebody to sit with, even if it's not to have a conversation, just to be with.
Mm-hmm.
Find somebody to be with,
Yeah.
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 So I want to back up again. So you were talking about you just came from this fundraiser for the unhoused.
Yep.
And I often say, mental health it encompasses so much more than what people think, right? It's, do I have a place to live that's secure? Do I have food available for me to eat? Do I, it encompasses so much more. Do I have a community that I can lean in? So I love that this big project you're working on is the unhoused, because as you said, and as we know, that's one of the populations, that's one of the communities of people that are extremely frowned upon in our society, but yet really need the most help, right? Because many of them are, substance abuse. Many of them have very severe mental illnesses, and what they need is, support and communication and, all the things. And we've labeled them.
Yeah.
Right. And we have stereotyped that community. And it's very heartbreaking. And so could you tell us a little bit more about this project that you're working on, just so that our community is aware of it and what's going on?
Yeah, sure. So it came out of that work that I did at the sheriff's office at the time. We got a call in that the police were asked by community to clear out some encampments that didn't look good. And, once given an order, they had to follow that order out, even though that really probably wasn't what they wanted to do. What they did was very cool is they called us and said, "Hey, what do we do? We've been ordered to do this. We don't want to, but we have to. Our jobs depend on it.
Yeah.
But can you help?" And so, we called the community together, and we called those organizations that deal in this space together and said, "Okay, this is what we have. This is how many people. What do we do with them?" I had no idea about this space. I knew I had friends on the street, right, that chose to continue to use, and they lost, some of those things. But long story short, what I realized was that we don't have shelters in Oakland County to serve the nearly 3,000 counted homeless individuals that are dispersed throughout Oakland County, one of the wealthiest counties, by the way, in Southeast Michigan, which is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard, right? And so what we did was last year, we found a partner, which was New Birth International Church in Pontiac, that was willing to open their doors and house people that they didn't have the resources, they didn't have the manpower, they didn't have any of it. But they said, "There's a need, we'll serve it, bring the people here, and we'll keep them."
Wow.
And it turned into an emergency pop-up, last minute, illegal, not zoned shelter. And so here we go, right? The bureaucracy comes. Well, you're not zoned, you're not permitted, you don't have the proper Okay, you're right. But for now, we're not going to let these people freeze. We're not going to cause more harm. So this is where we're at. And next year we'll figure it out. And so that's what we did. We worked with city government. We figured out what needed to be done. We got the permitting, we got the occupancy. And so New Birth has turned into a temporary shelter for this year that's legal, right? and partially funded to serve. And we chose families this year, 38 beds in this temporary shelter from December 1st to March 31st. The limitation here is more about resources, funding. It's not an inexpensive thing to do to run a shelter you need food, you need clothing, you need a lot of things. You need resources. You need to be able to connect people to services for long-term solutions. So what we're able to do this year is we're at least able to provide that temporary shelter over that 4-month period. But the goal here is New Birth International Church is the old Boys and Girls Club of Pontiac. Our hope is to turn that back into not just the church, but also a community center for not just temporary shelter during cold and hot. Because think about it, we have to worry about the hot season too.
Yes, we are.
So perhaps, rallying people's support, whether it's financial or volunteering hours or time or whatever, to come behind that church and really bring people together and connect all the people to say, we want to do this for our city, our county, so on and so forth. So that's the mission. And we were able to get, thank goodness, the county supplied some money to get it going, but there's a gap financially. So we contacted the Pontiac Community Foundation to be our fiscal fiduciary, and we created a fund. It's called the Safe Tonight Shelter Fund. And so that Safe Tonight Shelter Fund will not only provide that gap in financial for that shelter for the temporary season, but it will also serve, knowing that we have 458 beds during the winter season. We have 3,000 or so unhoused. So we have a gap. Where do those people go in the most coldest, right? The only option that we have is to be able to provide them a temporary shelter in a hotel. So that fund will go as a priority for people in cold weather emergencies to at least get a hotel for a few nights so that they don't freeze to death. And as unpopular as the topic is, people don't understand that we had 4 individuals lose their life last year to freezing temperatures, some in Oakland County, some in Detroit. We drive around and we see empty buildings everywhere. It's not okay. We need to open our doors, and we need to take care of the most vulnerable of our people who are struggling, that people don't want to look at and don't want to deal with. And so our mission is to make sure that we at least show them some sort of love and give them some hope that there is a community out there that does. They don't know what to do, so maybe we can give a suggestion as to what to do.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what to do. Like, if you don't know what to do, then maybe do this or maybe do that. What do you want to do? And so that's the mission. And we're really excited. You know, this breakfast that we had this morning was a display of, I think, all who care and are all involved. Our new mayor-elect, Mike McGinnis in Pontiac, was there. We had council members. We had Senator Rosemary Bear. We had people that their hearts are in this work and they want to show up. And they might not do what I do. Like, you know, Senator Rosemary Bear's not getting boot ground, but she can help pass legislation, right? And so I think that we see locally, statewide, nationally, that, you know, we're all really struggling. And the only thing we have here is community. And that's one of the reasons why I chose Michigan, I chose Detroit, I chose Oakland. Like, there's this sense of connection here in the Midwest and Michigan that I've been all over the country, by the way. I've lived in Key West. I've lived in California most recently. I've lived on the East Coast in Baltimore and Pennsylvania, Florida. There's something about community in Michigan here and how people care for their neighbors that is just so beautiful. And when it works, just amazing transformation and help is provided. So that's the mission now. And we've been successful getting it going and launched. And there are many, many, many people doing some very, very hard work. And so I hope that we all have enough fuel in our tank to get through this very cold winter season. As you know, like, we're already hitting, I was in my car yesterday, it was 25 degrees. I'm like,
so cold.
So yeah, with the proper funding, you know, we could, before the shelter opens December 1st, but now that this is out of the way and we're all good to go, we can start bringing people in. And when those beds are full, perhaps we at least get them a hotel or a motel for the night or two, so that they're not out there in these freezing cold temperatures, at least through this winter season. And then we'll assess it after this and go back to state and city and county and say, okay, this is what we need going forward. And how do we bring everybody together to do it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love everything about that.
Right.
Of course, being this visionary, apparently that I am. I mean, how cool to like bring all that together and then watch it blossom.
Yeah.
And also, like, I mean, I'm sure this is also on your mind as well, but, you know, housing them is one thing, right? But then how do we support them?
That's the exciting
all
part.
The other things, right?
Yeah. So what I know, and the exciting part for me, is I know one day there may be another one of me sitting here talking to you. That's my truth. I want that for them. I know it's possible for them. Because if it was possible for me, I mean, I'm a high school dropout, was locked up for that attempted suicide in a state penitentiary. I walked out with a cardboard box in Pennsylvania at a state penitentiary, and I'm working with the sheriff's office on and these things are it's impossible. One of our keynote speakers today was Lorenzo Sutter, the CEO of McLaren Hospital. His story of what he went through as a homeless child in his hometown, in his home state. And he said it, you know, it was probably me. It was probably me that was under that bridge. It was probably me that, you know, was asking you for $1 or $5. It was probably me. And so that message hit so home today. It was probably me that, you know, could provide this. And I know what's possible for him, for me, for others that I've seen transform their lives and be able to be of absolute service to other people.
Yep.
Out of all those people that we serve this winter, it could possibly be them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm excited to see those things.
Yeah.
That's a paycheck there. You can't cash.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's true.
Freaking amazing. So that's my excitement for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And to see families come together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What an amazing impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. How can somebody get a hold of you?
Well, so, they can find me on my website, which is recoverycollectivemi.com. I also serve as a Oakland County liaison for homelessness services, so they can contact the county for my number locally. But it would probably be just as easy to go to my website and you'll get all of my information and contact, and they can contact me directly. That's probably the easiest way. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else you would like to share with our audience before we close this out?
I can't think of anything. I feel like I've talked a lot.
You're supposed to.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
That is the point of the podcast.
Yes.
To
Yeah,
have you share.
If I were to say anything to the community is thank you. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for allowing me to serve. Thank you for the opportunity to bring us all together to, do something great. And if that's something that you want to do, let's talk. You probably have a talent that one of us is missing. we could certainly use it. Because I am also not a very good detail person. Like, I'm a visionary, but sometimes I can't get all the paperwork done on time. Yeah.
Yes, it's hard sometimes.
But no, I mean, that's really it. I mean, thank you. Like, it is such a beautiful place to be and live and serve. And I feel very lucky to be here in Michigan doing it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on, Steve. And
thank you.
Sharing your story and just a little bit about the Recovery Collective and all the things you're doing so great in the community for people who deserve.
Yeah, and thank you both for bringing people here and having them share your stories and your hearts and for your journeys, and thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
of course.
All right. Well, that is the end of this episode.
Yes.
So we'll catch you
on the flip side.
This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We are just your friends. Whitney and I are not licensed therapists, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional.